Cal Poly-SLO is at the top of Pool D with wins in hand over Colorado and Northeastern. Washington is their challenger, but they'll need to win this game to have a shot at winning the group. Which athletic and high-flying outfit can summon the consistency and show the mental strength to take control of the pool? Saturday play starts in just a moment. Welcome, Ultimate fans, to Ultiworld's live streaming coverage of the Division I College Championships here from Round Rock, Texas. Keith Rayner joined by Ian Toner in the booth for an excellent matchup from the men's division, as you just heard, SLO and Washington. A lot at stake here, Ian.
That's right. The winner of this game is going to be in the driver's seat for Pool D. SLO wins this game, they can take it easy in their final game against Northeastern. If Washington wins this game, they've got a 3-0 record and one more battle against Colorado.
Absolutely. I think this game is going this tournament has gone to script for how these teams wanted it. 2-0 each as they come into this one. Washington in the whites, pulling to SLO in the blacks. SLO, the top seed in the pool, number 4 seed. Washington down at number 9. But I think this Washington team has to believe that they can win this pool, as we see a deep shot going up from Calvin Brown and a quick score for SLO to start things off. They hold to make it 1-0.
Great spacing there from the SLO offense. Lots of room for their downfield cutters to initiate and continue, and a wide open lane there for Calvin Brown to rip it down the center to Kenrick Koo.
And I think the SLO offense will be happy to utilize that deep space if Washington's going to give it to them. They have a pretty diverse set of cutters who have a lot of great continue throws on this SLO roster. We see Cal Poly-SLO coach Cody Mills and then his counterpart Mark Burton walking off the line as he offers guidance to the Washington O-line. Mills going over his matchups with the SLO D-line.
And I think it's safe to say that 3 of the Sun Dodgers' biggest stars are all bunched here on their offensive unit. You've got Derek Morad, Lucas Chen, and Manny Eckert, all versatile in their own ways, but shouldering a lot of the offensive responsibility for this team.
Yeah, and I think that this Washington offense is at its best when they're able to move the disc quickly and set themselves up for quality deep shots as that pull shanks out of Ian Sweeney's hands and heads out of bounds. But this is an experienced group. Gabe Port, the freshman on the line with them, but a guy with plenty of experience of his own, so I don't think this team rattles easy. Eckert with the disc now. Up ahead to Jake Steen, and some disagreement about who may have gotten to that one first. Gets a little reaction out of the sideline. Eckert takes the reset. Washington coming out in the vertical stack to start. Just match defense from both sides on these first 2 D points. Eckert again holding, getting a lot of touches early on as he finds Chen across the field. Starting to see the Sun Dodgers work the width of the field.
And you can hear Coach Cody Mills shouting out defensive instruction. He wants his players on the mark to keep a high right hand and stop those soft inside breaks that were gaining so much yardage around midfield.
Eckert directing traffic as he collects yet another reset. Jeff Zhao. Chen, and this Washington offense looks content to work the disc until that scoring opportunity presents itself. And they finally find the easy one they're looking for. Morad gets it over to Zhao for the opening hold for Washington that ties it up at 1-1.
Well, tell you what, that's some great patience there from the Sun Dodgers offense. You can see the structural differences between these two O-lines. The Sun Dodgers content to use their vertical stack, play a little more West Coast small ball style offense, dinking and dunking with their handlers, looking for those nice, easy, high-release resets in that soft break space at the front of the stack. If they can keep that patience up throughout the rest of this game, throughout the rest of this tournament, that's the kind of discipline that can launch you into a deep run. And you compare this with, we saw the first game that we were able to bring to everyone on the stream yesterday, Colorado and Northeastern. Colorado certainly had some of this offensive discipline when their O-line was out there, but their D-line certainly couldn't replicate that.
Yeah, and we'll see what one of these defenses can do once they get their hands on the disc, but I think both of these teams have a lot of offensive talent and a fair amount of defensive talent, to be honest. But they both have struggled to put together complete games, and I think a lot of this game could come down to which team's able to get out of those ruts quicker.
That's right. Who can forget the last round matchup yesterday? As we see
slips out of the hands of Caleb Merriam as he fakes and kind of sheepishly grins back now, and going to get our first defensive D-line offense possession in the hands of Washington. Washington working the disc quickly, and that one milked into the end zone, but discussion about whether or not that had gotten in the end zone. Lopez Escarez with the disc, and stall called. So we'll stop play in a tense moment.
Any chance we have observer mics?
So
all good.
Call contested, and Lopez Escarez cannot execute with such a short clock coming out of that stoppage. Disc heads out of bounds.
I don't know how I feel about that throw choice. You know, I understand the count was rising, but an offhand backhand, not always the smoothest when you're looking to throw that more than 5 yards.
So the missed opportunity in the red zone for Washington. And SLO's offense.
Thanks.
And another deep shot this time for Nate Pettyjohn. And it trails behind him, and it takes a second effort from Pettyjohn, and two good enough for SLO. 2-1.
Well, Washington's got to be happy with their multiple looks at the disc at that point. Obviously, earlier on, that disc slipping out of Merriam's hand was a bit of a gift. But that deep shot there was clearly contested, not the high percentage look that you always want when you're shooting into the end zone. So if anything, an encouraging start here for the Sun Dodgers defense.
Merriam, one of the steady leaders, a captain of this SLO team, and that type of error, probably a little bit unnerving, but Washington not able to do the work as you see how close they were to that break and how close they were to getting a second chance at it, but not enough there for Max Landa.
Probably worth revisiting the fact that these two teams have faced each other twice already in the regular season. Washington hailing from the Northwest region and Cal Poly-SLO from the Southwest. They did face off at Santa Barbara Invite at the beginning of the college regular season. That was a 13-11 victory for SLO. And then later in the season at Northwest Challenge, it was a more decisive result with SLO coming out on top 13-9.
But both of these teams, I think, have a reputation with and have struggled with injury, and I think that this may be the most complete version of the two rosters. You know, a player here or there may not make the end-all, be-all difference. I think that those results are probably mostly representative, but those little edges can make a big difference when the margins are slim. Washington finds the middle of the cup there. Now Steen gets it back to Zhao. And SLO's going to transition to match up now after starting with a zone look. Morad in the red zone. And the throw behind Zhao. So SLO will get their first chance at a break. We'll see if they can be more efficient with it than Washington was. High stall, and Sweeney's forced to put one up. Really no opportunity there. Well defended by Washington.
I do love that decision, recognizing late in the count you're not going to be able to find a soft reset anywhere reliably, and rather than turn the disc over near your own goal line, punt, give someone a chance to make a play downfield, and then make the offense work it as far as you possibly can.
Zhao, the grad student at Washington after playing at the University of Chicago. Stoppage and play. We're back underway with an around throw to Morad, but it comes off of his hand and then is knocked away by a SLO defender. So a lovely opportunity for a SLO break. Sweeney marching to the disc. And hauled in for the break. SLO strikes first. Jake Thorne bringing in the goal that makes it 3-1.
Well, if anything, we know how the wind is impacting this game and which way it's blowing so far early on. There's a very clear crosswind from the players' bench sideline all the way over to the spectator sand sideline. You saw the swing pass over to Morad, catch a little bit of wind, and typically those things tend to manifest themselves even more when a player has just gotten one hand on the disc and you start to touch it, and then that just exposes that underface of the disc to the wind so much more aggressively, and it starts to wobble even further. And then when Ian Sweeney stepped out for that around flick, you know, obviously it was able to be completed for that break goal, but it certainly soared a little more than he expected and hoped for.
Coming into the college championships with forecasts, you know, in the 90s, it's particularly with the humidity, there was a lot of talk about how teams were going to deal with the conditions, but I think that people up until about a week before the tournament weren't prepared for the wind to be the weather element that was going to have the biggest impact on play.
That's right, and we saw how intense a challenge the wind presented all throughout yesterday. Both divisions, there were a number of games, not just due to the heat delay or the heat breaks, a number of games that did not reach all the way to 15. We had points extending sometimes longer than 20 minutes with incredible volumes of turnovers because players were having such difficulty working the disc both upwind and downwind reliably.
And it feels a little bit calmer maybe today than yesterday was, but not for the Washington offense as Sweeney gets a hand block on Eckert and a chance to build out a lead, and SLO does not waste it. They get to the end zone in the hands of Sean Liston.
Okay, Washington's going to call a timeout. I think that's a smart move by Mark Burton and his staff. A couple uncharacteristic early in the possession turnovers, giving short fields to the slow D-line offense. I think this is a great opportunity to refocus, recenter.
Absolutely, and they'll do so in this timeout, and our timeout is presented by DiscStore.com. DiscStore.com sells more than discs. For live viewers only, get your next custom full sub-team jerseys for just $30 each with the promo code ULTIWORLD. You can email jerseys at DiscStore.com to take advantage of the exclusive offer. That offer expires May 31st, so do not delay. So a couple errors here from the handlers, Ian. Do you feel like this has to do more with the slow defense, or has the Washington offense just found themselves in a little bit of a lull?
I'm going to give credit to the slow pressure. They're not slacking off or poaching in the lanes. They are, aggressively right up against their assignments. But when you look back at the two most recent turnovers, a botched swing into the wind, and then maybe a slightly greedy first throw that got hand blocked, and the break throw wasn't set up appropriately by Eckert. I think those are things that are controllable by Washington. A little more focus, a little more discipline throwing that swing, setting up the break throw with a fake. Those are not insurmountable mistakes or things that can't be corrected.
Sweeney matching up with Eckert. Eckert, a lengthy handler for Washington. Probably not used to being matched up by a handler defender with even more wingspan than he has.
And we've seen that trend more and more in the college game over the last couple of years. Coaches wisening up and figuring out that, hey, perhaps the best thing I can do against the other team's best handler is put a very, very big mark on them to challenge all of their release points no matter what the force is. I'd say conventional wisdom hasn't always been that way. Sometimes, hey, I'm just going to throw the smallest, most agile body out there. And there can be merit to that strategy too. But you're seeing more and more big guys. This year it's Ian Sweeney. Last year it was the likes of Norman Archer taking those handler-defender matchups and frustrating those throwers with these huge marks.
A counter there from Washington by pushing Eckert downfield. Slow comes out zone, and now they've transitioned as the Sun Dodgers have neared the red zone. Steen with the disc on the trap sideline. Chen bursts into the air to save that one from getting over his head, and looks like we have a pick call out of the stack. Zhao discussing about the legality of the call, given the distance the defender is away. And it looks like the defender not going to get his way with it, so Zhao resetting to Chen in the middle.
And again, I have a feeling we're going to hear this all the rest of the game. Cody Mills' voice on the sideline, one of the loudest presences, he's imploring his defenders to keep their right hand high. But Washington is able to cash this one in on the far side cone.
Yeah, if you can't stop the front side cut, you're not going to be able to worry about the break side, and Washington just stuffs that in.
I really liked Slo's defense on that point. I don't think there were many huge yardage gainers, specifically on the force side. And there were defenders downfield in the stack that were starting to recognize the consistent break looks. And they would flash into that break space for a quick second and be a help defender in that break space, and then jump back over to their force side defensive responsibilities. That's the kind of active man matchup help defense that differentiates units.
Yeah, and I think you're going to see these two units do kind of a punch-counter punch. As the Washington offense has a certain rhythm, a tempo to it, And the SLO defense is going to start to pick up on that and start to anticipate. And you're going to see Washington try and change what they're doing or take advantage of that, violate the expectations of the SLO defense. And that's kind of the dance you'll see if these two teams stay in these match sets. Washington pulling, and Brown starts with the disc for Cal Poly. Connor Schofield's throw mistimed, and an easy block there. Spencer Lofink knocking that down. Mohamed Tilmo starts with it. Now it's Lofink with the disc. Lopez Escarez moves it. And the Sun Dodgers in the red zone, but an emphatic foot block. Nicely done there by Sam Wettegardner. He shakes his head no after that one. But Merriam, again, not on the same page. Washington with another chance to break. High throw, deflected, big gainer there.
Another swing to that sideline that we're seeing pop up by the wind. It's pretty evident that players are really going to need to focus on those swings, and you can't just short arm, throw it without stepping into it.
And into the end zone for a hold. And a little bit of bookends there for Dylan Whited. Got that leaping block and now comes down with the goal on the other end. 5-2, SLO leads.
Well, you were able to see in the frame there the Sun Dodgers team starting to pull out some of those floaties and pool toys that they were especially known for during their run to the quarterfinals at last year's college championships.
As we see Whited collect that score on the break side. And our live streaming coverage of the Division I College Championships is brought to you in part by Oak Creek Ultimate. From full sub jerseys to screen printed t-shirts, there's no type of decoration or product that Oak Creek doesn't offer. Don't have time to collect orders? Let Oak Creek build a team store and let them do the work for you. Reach out to them at sales@oakcreekultimate.com and get your order started today. Yeah, you pointed out, Ian, the struggles that Washington's having swinging that disc from the left side of your screen to the right. A little air bouncy. They're popping these discs in the air, and it's a easy to adjust mechanical mistake that I imagine Coach Mark Burton is probably already harping on.
We see a junk look here from the SLO defense, just trying to clog up that space in the middle of the field. And Washington hasn't been able to settle into their vertical stack structure just yet, but I'd expect that to happen the closer they get to the red zone here.
Yeah, so trying to see if they can change the pace a little bit. Tried this on their previous defensive possession and now have transitioned to match as they did. Chen dances away from the front of the stack. Chen now holding. SLO still going backhand. We've seen that mostly from them in this game. Zhao looking to scuba across the field, and Steen trying to get a good read on it and takes a tumble. It looks like he is going to say that there was contact as he was trying to change direction. Let's listen in.
I don't really know. I right, there.
I mean, I did someone's foot.
Okay, so it's 100 meters. All right, so my ruling is no foul. It was uncatchable. It was way over there. So, observer ruling is no foul. We're starting with the check.
So that disc ruled uncatchable. Zhao choosing a very difficult scoring throw. And now SLO with another chance to break here.
One of the rare undisciplined red zone looks we've seen from this Sun Dodger offense here in the first half.
And a deep shot immediately from Sweeney to a completely uncovered receiver. But that kind of mistake will come back to haunt you. The drop wide open by Nate Johnson. Johnson hoping to get redemption, cutting off that reset, but now Washington's gotten access to the break side with a swing to Port. Now the freshman in the middle of the field with a disc. Washington still looking to continue to use that width of the field in the vertical stack, threatening the break side, trying to open up space for the inside break, and instead they take the over the top. Morad with the backhand to the back line for Steen. And swing and a miss on the kick spike, but the goal still counts 5-3.
A really well-placed shot by Derek Morad. He's got a couple things to contend with there. He released that with an outside-in edge. So the top face of the disc is exposed to the wind. And it's very easy for that disc to get pushed down, but he releases it with enough snap and drops it right in the breadbasket.
As we see Lucas Chen, one of the guiding forces for this O-line and one of our spin players to watch. Played with Seattle Voodoo and was a Rookie of the Year back in 2017 in the Northwest region. He's been an impressive player. As majors in molecular cell development biology, well beyond my understanding, certainly. And our spin player to watch, and Spin is a supporting sponsor of our live broadcast. Spin Ultimate, providing custom team uniforms and ultimate apparel since 2007. Visit Spin on the web at spinultimate.com. So Chen off to the side. Any good O-liner? You don't want to play 2 points in a row. You love to take a break. Let the D-line guys go out there and do their work. And work to be done for Washington, who's trailing by 2 after giving up a run early in this first half. Great pull coverage by Washington, and already pressuring this first throw. Brown finds Schofield. Here's the speedster Whitehead up ahead to Pettyjohn. All up the open side right now. Both teams forcing backhand. Probably has to do with the wind and the direction of it.
Yeah, I think that's a smart move. Any around throws, which would be break throws, hurting the defense, are typically going to pop up into that wind, but nice smooth finish there from SLO in the red zone.
Goes down easy as Whitehead with a nice setup using the give and go, and then has the free throw to Merriam to make it 6-3.
Really impressed with SLO's offensive spacing. They're really committed to side stack discipline, keeping those non-active cutters as far on the dead side as possible, and forcing those defenders to make really tough decisions in isolation in lots of space throughout the rest of the active side of the field.
So a team with a great veteran presence, a lot of elite club experience on the team, and they missed out on being here at Nationals last year. And we talk a lot about how difficult it is for teams to really assert themselves, make deep runs without that high pressure experience. How do you think that could affect this SLO team moving forward, if they go on to win this game or either way, they're going to be in contention to make the bracket and make a run.
Well, I'm going to say I've been impressed by their mettle and resolve already in just one day of tournament play. The most challenging game they faced yesterday was against Colorado Mama Bird. Mama Bird got out to a big early lead, leading at halftime. This is the classic 4-5 matchup that typically ends up being one of the best games on day one of college nationals. And SLO had to march and rally a significant comeback in the second half of that game, dealing with some elements, significant wind, a really talented Mama Bird squad as Eckert shoots deep.
And that's a bit of a jump ball to their big man Steen, but with two players in coverage, that one's going to leave something to be desired and go to the possession of Sweeney and SLO. Disc now moving for Cal Poly. Vertical stack for the California team, anchored by Sweeney, their Callahan nominee. Get the disc up to Chris Casper. And now with lots of room, things starting to break down for Washington's defense. Can they clamp down and prevent this break? Critical moment. Around break. Justin Ting with the disc. And a pick called. This is a great chance for this Washington defense to set themselves up, get a read on the field, and make their stand. Ting, inside break, just past the reach of the defender, and it hangs and drops into the hands of Jeremy Dolezal-Ing. SLO breaks again and leads 7-3.
It's really nice to have a steadying force and anchor like Ian Sweeney picking up the disc on your own goal line and marching the disc down the field. You know, he's got the strength to power through any adverse wind conditions as we get a quick look at the deep shot there by Eckert, well contested by Sweeney. And then marching this disc all the way down the field, dealing with the wind. Maybe the finishing shot wasn't as disciplined as SLO might have liked, but it looks like Coach Cody Mills is putting on something of a kill line here, trying to emphasize this lead and make it even bigger going into half with a break opportunity. We see Brown crossing over. Sweeney's going to stay out there.
I love this decision. I mean, you could try and put this game away right now. And you have the edge. The Washington offense has looked a little bit frazzled. That turnover, really an ill-advised shot up into the teeth of the defense. You just made them work. They've been out there for a couple points as this pull sent out of bounds. Sometimes happens when you pull the O-line guys over. It's like, hey, why don't you take a pull?
Yeah, you know, if you're going to pull with an outside-in edge and at least move over to the opposite sideline and do it. But, hey, our vantage point up in the booth and our perspective, it's 20/20 up here.
It's true. So the Washington offense in need of a response. Zhao gets things started. Bit of a different look for Washington, who's been mostly invert. Spread the field out now with the cutters. Morad with the disc. Steen just churning out deep cuts. The big man for this Washington offense just trying to find some room behind the defense, but with only resets coming, the defense is clamping down. The field's compressing as Washington moves backwards. Zhao thinks about it. Holsters. Nathan Whipler
Well,
clears, and now the hands in the disc of Lucas Chen.
and Steen's defender, Sean Liston, has been doing a fantastic job, essentially playing strong safety center field. Steen is not keeping him occupied quite enough and becoming that credible threat.
Murad forced to put up a speculative throw, but it's well placed. Lucas Chen goes up with two hands to bring it in. Washington trying to retake the momentum in this game with big plays from Murad and Chen.
If anything, Washington proved that they were able to exercise a good amount of patience. They did need to do their fair amount of resetting, several throws without gaining any yardage. And that's an on-the-money finish there from Morad, who's been really dialed in when he's been taking those mid-range shots to the end zone.
And I undersold Morad's throw by calling it speculative. I guess I don't have the vision of the young handler. I mean, a experienced player to try and put that backside throw away from the defense and to see it develop. And now the team's taking a timeout. Our timeouts presented by Disc Store. DiscStore.com is proud to support Ultiworld and has a special $30 custom full sub offer for live viewers only. Get custom team full subs for just $30 each using the promo code Ultiworld. Just email jerseys@discstore.com before May 31st. So Washington kind of mirroring SLO, and now they're crossing over some of their O-line players to see if they can close the gap before the halftime break. Maybe if they dare to dream, take the lead.
Got to see some more consistency from this offensive unit when the Sun Dodgers have the ball before we start dreaming that big, Keith.
Are you a 1 point at a time kind of guy, Toner?
1 point at a time, or, you know, when I was an undergrad, the philosophy and the mantra, which I'm sure everyone else has heard, was games to 3, and just focus on the little game to 3 at hand.
So we take a look at Nate Pettyjohn, one of the spin players to watch, the athletic cutter for this SLO team, is also going to be representing the United States as a under 24 U.S. men's national team player. Majoring in forestry and natural resources. Pettyjohn has had some absences from the team. He's had to kind of reintegrate this year, but the tools that this player has are just incredible. Really a springy, athletic player with a real natural feel for the game.
Yeah, when he rejoined the team, as we see another turnover there from the SLO offense close to their own end zone.
So a brilliant opportunity now for Washington with many of their O-line personnel on the field. And we see those guys going to work, Murad and Zhao, and then a blown coverage or a pick coming. No, it's just a mistake from SLO. This is how comebacks begin. 7-5 now. So let's take another look at this quick offensive possession. Morad coming over from the O-line, but showing he could play some defense with a hand block.
That's the kind of impact that Mark Burton and D.Y. Chen were hoping a player like Morad would have, and double shifting him there, and he's going to stay out for his 3rd point in a row.
I would say that Morad's probably a D-line guy by trade. I would say that this is where he wants to be, playing with the offense, because he adds considerable offensive pop to an O-line, but I think he's plenty happy, if not even more so, to be out there trying to shut down a thrower. Morad with the pull. Going back to his D-line roots. And again, great pull coverage. Highlight Muhammad Tilmo for sprinting down the pull and sealing it before the centering pass can go up to Merriam, who's been very uninvolved for SLO in this game. Whited very involved as he puts it out for Kendrick Koo, and Koo brings it in to take us to half. SLO with an 8-5 lead, responding to the break.
Well, that's the SLO offense that's worked so well throughout this half. You see this team get into their side stack set, move the disc over to the open side, expose all of that space, and it creates a nice, easy, deep shot right down the gut to close things out in the first half.
Kendrick Koo showing great timing with that deep throw. Getting that from Whited, a guy who I think usually is on the receiving end, but showing off the versatility that makes this SLO offense so dangerous. They've got an 8-5 lead over Washington in this Pool D matchup. So the two teams going to take a brief break. We're going to take a break for a word from our sponsors and then be back with a Live Ultimate ambassador, so stay tuned.
We come in all different shapes and sizes, but our uniforms don't. Equipped with multiple jersey cuts, lengths, and sizes, Full Circle is the perfect fit for your whole team. Look better, feel better, play better. Full Circle.
An Ulti-World subscription gets you closer to the players and personalities you care about with game video, in-depth written and video analysis,
He's going to take off deep, but what he does is very simple.
documentary shorts,
And we've played Brute Squad before, and it just feels a little bit harder to lose this year.
and a whole lot more. To get your subscription or learn more, go to ultiworld.com/subscribe.
And welcome back to our live streaming coverage of this pool play game here from Nationals. Keith Rayner now joined by Live Ultimate Ambassador Gabe Hernandez. And Gabe, as a alum of Stanford, you've got some experience playing against this Cal Poly-SLO squad. How does this team look like they've changed since last year?
Yeah, I think the work that Coach Cody Mills is doing has been really, really impressive since like the 4 years that I've been on Stanford. My freshman year, they were, I think, like the 8th seed coming into regionals, and then ever since Cody joined the team, they've just been able to channel that athleticism that they've always had into just like smart ultimate. You saw a lot of like point blocks and like really a lot of good marks in this game from SLO, which I think is a testament to how much Cody Mills has been able to work with the team and like coach them to be a good ultimate team instead of just an athletic team.
Washington's offense getting a little stifled by that Cody Mills defense in this first half. What do you think the offense needs to do to adjust to try and get back into this one and find a little rhythm?
Yeah, I think patience is going to be the name of the game for them. SLO is very athletic. If you try to, scuba across the stack like they try to, it's not. I don't see that being successful for them. So I think being really successful, just working the system upline, swinging, and looking for those windows. A lot of them have been SLO's been really close on a lot of them, but if they stay patient, those will start to open up as the game goes along.
When you're in that halftime break and you have a 3-goal deficit to try and get out of in the second half, what are you talking about in that huddle to try and get back into this game? What do you focus on?
I think 1 point at a time is the way to go. It's definitely like you have a big, a kind of a hole to climb out of, but come back, start 1 point at a time, and you focus on what you can do that point to get the turn and score the goal. And after that, you focus on the next one, and then you kind of build off of that energy. So I think one point at a time is definitely the strategy for Washington.
Have you got a chance to travel around the complex yesterday, check out the action away from the showcase field?
Yeah, definitely. I think it's interesting that like Pool D. I think yesterday Pool D went to seed, which is the only pool that did. So there's some upsets in the other pools. So it was fun to watch. But yeah, it's been a good weekend out here so far.
Thank you. Well, I'm glad that you're enjoying it, and thank you for joining us, Gabe. We appreciate you guys, and we're going to send you to a highlight reel from the President's Day invite earlier this year, and we'll be back for the second half after that. And welcome back to LT World's live streaming coverage of the Division I College Championships, coming to you from Round Rock, Texas, just outside of Austin, presented in partnership with USA Ultimate. Pool D matchup here for two teams that I think have designs on winning the pool and then going even further. And right now it is SLO who is closer to achieving that goal with an 8-5 lead over a Washington team whose offense failed them in the first half.
Yeah, they came out with some great vert stack discipline early in the first half, but started taking some tougher shots, not accounting for the wind on swings, facing a stiff and aggressive SLO defense, and that created this 3-goal margin that exists as we start the second half.
I think this Washington team's going to need to find a way to add another threat. Just East-West is just not doing it anymore. But when they stay patient, as our Live Ultimate ambassador Gabe Hernandez said at halftime, they have been able to find room. An attempted poach block from SLO, but Washington not able to take advantage. And now a little bit pinned, but Chen wriggles his way free with the over-the-top throw to Morad, and he misses the kick spike too. Maybe it's intentional. Maybe it's like a statement about kick spikes. I don't know.
It looks like it's a thing.
Who knows with these kids these days, Ian? As we see Chen make the goal signal before it's even caught. Confidence in his teammates.
Well, it's so tough to defend that small space there by the front cone. When someone's making an upline cut, you've got to be responsible not only for the cut all the way to the sideline, but that quick turnaround for the inside. And then you saw there Chen executing that high release throw to space deeper into that back corner. It's almost impossible to take away all of those looks. There's 3 different angles of attack once you've made that upline cut into that space, and great recognition there by Chen of the opportunity and by Morad as well.
Washington now converting at a 66% clip in the red zone, 4 for 6 after that one. We'll see if their defense can find a way to disrupt SLO's offense. Able to get one break in the back end of that second half, but SLO's offense has been a little more dynamic. Brown getting the disc over to Merriam. Now a zone being deployed by the Sun Dodgers. Merriam, who had a quiet first half, not a lot of touches, but a little zone-o might give the handler a chance to be more involved. Whited. Schofield. SLO's offense not looking rushed as Pettyjohn tries to jump that one in to no avail. Merriam gets it off the line and away from the pressure of the cup. Washington staying in it even though we're so close to giving up a goal.
Yeah, awfully close to some double teams there at the front corner, but great pressure, and they're forcing them to drop back until this hammer goes right in the bucket.
Another goal for Kenrick Koo. Closed out the first half with a goal, and now gets his third to start the second half for SLO.
Yeah, he's been a consistent downfield threat for this SLO offense all throughout this game. The unofficial stats from yesterday had him finishing without any goals, 1 assist, and 2 blocks, but I'd suspect that he actually had a slightly larger statistical impact based on the performance that he's displaying today.
The freshman having a big impact today out of Ventura, California. Just another one of the strong recruits that SLO has been able to add to their coffers. I don't think they're a school that necessarily was known as an ultimate power, but they've been recruiting really well, adding U20 players like Jeremy Dolezal-Ing and players with a lot of youth experience, Justin Ting, Kendrick Koo. And I think that California youth scene is at a bit of a high tide recently. So I think you're seeing the results of that with SLO.
Yeah, you look all around the country at the programs that have great high school and youth club feeder programs and how much they benefit from that. Obviously, SLO is one group that's benefiting from that now, but over the better part of this past decade, we've seen Darkside have similar success and fuel to their own talent pipelines.
I don't know if we're allowed to say the D word here on the broadcast. I don't think these teams are ready to hear about the nightmare that is Darkside. North Carolina ending Washington season last year in the quarterfinals. Eckert crossing the midline. And again, we see that adjustment from Washington, spreading out the field with a horizontal stack. Spent nearly the entire first half running vert. You don't see a lot of teams that really play both effectively, although Eckert lets that swing slip through his grasp. Sweeney, as he has nearly all game, initiating the defensive possession for SLO. Morgan Summer. Around break now. Ting. A little drop off for Sweeney, and SLO looks content to march it up until they find their option. Well read by the defense, but who will win the jump ball? SLO comes down with it. A two-handed grab by Jake Thorne for the goal. Not the prettiest throw, but the goals all count the same.
Yeah, you could tell Ian Sweeney was feeling a little bit stranded there. Had gone through some reset looks and figured the best option was to get that disc as far down the field as possible. And you can see the wind having an impact on that throw. That was, barely a throw from midfield, and it certainly hung up a little more than I'm sure Sweeney wanted. It wasn't that leading throw right on a rope. It shows you just how difficult some of these crosswind and slight upwind conditions have been for these throwers.
SLO now 4 for 7. Break opportunities, and Washington's offense has just been too generous. Morad and Eckert in particular have, I think, struggled to play the possession game. And perhaps that's part of why we've seen Washington move to that horizontal stack, where maybe they could be a little more aggressive, try and reduce the number of throws per possession. But giving it away with a drop is not how you're trying to do that.
We see Liston pulling here for the SLO D-line, and can't say enough about the job he's done downfield, marking Steen, and as we mentioned earlier, just roving so well and covering more ground and more responsibility than just his singular matchup.
Yeah, and to sing Liston's praises more, I mean, he's one of the best defenders in the division, and even when he engages with Steen in one-on-ones, he's done a great job being disciplined, not committing his hips before his cutter does, and he's kept Steen pretty quiet. The 1-2 punch of Steen and Sweeney is tough to contend with, and that is an elite core to build your defense around.
Those are gifts for a D-line. Liston, the man that can take any matchup and shrink the field and reduce the impact of multiple players at once, and Sweeney, that quarterback and calming force who can guide your D-line offense after you get the turnover.
A calming force is exactly what Washington needs as they enter the red zone. And they get into the hands of Lucas Chen, who can provide it. And he gets a layout from his teammate right as they need it. Nick Lightman brings that in for the hole.
A much-needed confidence boost here for the Sun Dodger offense. This second half was starting to slip away just a little bit, and they're keeping this game within range, a 3-goal margin right now. We'd seen their offense struggling quite a bit, not quite sinking into its identity, but they used their horizontal stack on that point to really mix up their offensive look, generate some yardage, gain yardage faster than they were with perhaps some of those vertical stack looks that required much smaller resets and harder cuts for fewer yardage.
And maybe getting a little spark there from the junior from Bethesda, Maryland. Makes the layout, and you can see the sidelines getting a little hyped up, trying to build the energy for this defense. Murad crossing over again. I got to say that I like the combo of Murad pulling and Tilmo trying to get down there on the first throw.
That's a coach's dream when you've got one of those pull coverage guys, a gunner you might call him, just going down there, and doesn't matter if he's running a 70 before the point even starts. If he's frustrating that first throw, he's doing his job.
Match defense from Washington. Side stack by SLO, isolating some players on that far sideline. But now they're falling into a more traditional set. Pettyjohn with the disc. Finds room for Merriam. And then Merriam into the end zone. And again, that SLO offense, whenever they take a shot, they come back with a smooth hold. Brown on the receiving end to make it 11-7.
I tell you what, I can't wait for one of our film breakdown pieces after this tournament ends. The clinic that is the Cal Poly-SLO side stack offense. Their commitment to keeping space on that active side and forcing defenders into isolation. It's as tough to defend as any offensive look in the division.
I think that stack discipline is an underrated asset for offenses, and it's very easy for teams to drift, or especially as you get tired, to lose your spacing, your shape. But SLO's done a great job of keeping the lanes open so that they're able to attack with space. You mentioned the film room breakdown. One of the features of an Ultiworld subscription, so if you appreciate the work that we're doing here at the Division I College Championships, or perhaps at the Division III College Championships last weekend, got double-digit personnel here bringing you not only the broadcast, but coverage on the ground. More to come. Check out the live blog. So if you want to follow along live, ultraworld.com/live is the place to be. And if you want to support us or check out features like the film room, the game footage, recording games that you're not going to get to see live here, but you can catch them after the fact, check out ultraworld.com/subscribe. We are in the middle of our membership drive, and we appreciate your support. Washington could use some support right about now with a 4-goal deficit. Pole position in Pool D at stake. Offense gets started. Zhao looking for options. Kind of almost a spread set right now for the Sun Dodgers. Tough break throw. But really, I mean, their deep game has just been suffocated by SLO. And that inside throw intercepted by Whited. And a timeout by SLO. And this timeout is presented by Disc Store. Head over to discstore.com to get your next custom full sub team jersey for just $30 each. Promo code ULTIWORLD, as in the company bringing you this broadcast. That offer expires May 31st, so don't delay. And we're going to go to an interview with Cal Poly-SLO's Sean Liston. We'll be right back.
Last year we knew we were one of the best teams in the country. We just unfortunately lost out on getting a bid, and Stanford, shout out to Gabe Hernandez, he had a really great game against us and our team just crumbled. And to go through that was pretty hard, but honestly I think it made our team stronger. It made us realize that we can't take nationals for granted. So going into this year, everyone who had felt that really gave that extra push. Sometimes we have a hard time thinking of sideline cheers. We don't take ourselves too seriously, so whether, like a few years ago, we had a thing, the dab line, we would just dab over and over and just scream. And now we cheer Cody Mills, he's our coach, we just yell his name. We really just don't take ourselves too seriously, and that kind of keeps things.
After hearing from Liston, we'll see if he and this defense can get a break and further extend the lead. Ting, high release forehand. Can't be converted after that, though. So a pick in the back of the stack. Not a lot of field to work with for SLO. I mean, if you want to test a team's stack discipline, see what they can do with the disc on the goal line. You can see things a bit scattered for SLO, and we'll see if they get organized out of the stoppage. Ting going to work. Now Liston. And the around break from Sweeney. The lefty into the hands of Whited. SLO in control, 12-7.
I don't know about you, Keith. That feels like the nail in the coffin to me. A 5-goal margin this late in the second half. The lack of consistency that we've seen from this Sun Dodger offense. Barring a total collapse here from Cal Poly-SLO, it feels like they're in the driver's seat not only to win this game, but win this pool and get a nice rest going into the quarterfinals. They'll obviously have one more pool play game later today, but it's looking like they'll be able to open up those lines as much as they want.
Yeah, I can't even recall a time SLO Corps has turned it over in the red zone, as we got a chance to watch Sweeney use that big lefty around to hit Whited. I mean, they have been effective. 4 of their 5 breaks have come in red zone situations. So their defense has been really effective near the goal line, and Washington just has not been able to stop that offense when they have gotten the disc and gotten near the end zone. So you mentioned SLO potentially earning the opportunity to save their legs a little bit for later in the day. Do you think we'll see Washington open up the rotation at all?
When you consider that they've got an incredibly important matchup against Colorado at noon, I think they're probably going to want to establish some consistency and confidence before this game ends. You know, yes, there's an argument to be made for opening up the lines here in the rest of this game, but you also want this O-line to feel more comfortable and in rhythm as they head into that Mama Bird matchup, and that's going to determine who finishes second in the pool, and that could be incredibly important depending on who your pre-quarter matchup ends up being.
So far, Washington unable to work out the kinks. That throw a little high, and Steen unable to bring it in, but SLO shows that they can bring it in, although there's a call, I believe a pick. So disc will go back. You mentioned a 12 o'clock matchup between Colorado and Washington. Pivotal, as far as positioning in the bracket goes. Cal Poly-SLO will take on Northeastern in that round. As Pool D starts to take shape, that's one of the joys of Saturday, is starting to see the picture in the bracket. SLO's offense making this Washington O-line stay out there, just kind of working the legs a little bit. Throw to space, but can't be tracked down before it heads out of bounds. A nice effort from Jake Bianca, but couldn't save that one.
Saturday afternoon and Sunday morning are some of the most intense moments in the entire college season. If you're lucky enough to be at whatever complex is hosting the college championships, you can just feel the intensity and the electricity in the air with so many teams fighting to extend their seasons. There's a noticeable, a palpable shift in energy once those true elimination games start.
As we see Port overthrow his target, rushing that. Another turn for the Washington offense. And you mentioned the tension, the joy of, and the pain of the end of pool play. And for a lot of teams, those are kind of where the lines are, as that throws beyond the reach of a sliding slow cutter. It's many teams, their goal is to make the bracket, or their goal is to reach quarterfinals. And as we see teams have that goal come right in front of them, there's a lot of joy and celebration to be had. Or, on the other side, you fail to reach your goals and it feels like disappointment as Washington achieves their goal, getting to the end zone. Chen over the top to Steen, 12-8. Chen, so far, kind of the engine of Washington in this second half. 3 assists in the second half. So we see Watkins really trying to save that one, but can't get there. And then Chen, wide open Steen, so the quality of the throw almost doesn't matter at that point. You just got to get it there. Not to say anything of the throw. I'm not throwing shade. I don't want to upset anybody who woke up early to watch this game out on the West Coast.
You can see Cody Mills at the edge of you could see him in the last shot. He was at the edge of the frame shouting instruction to the SLO O-line. And I love the discussion, Keith, that you and Charlie had on the latest Deep Look live pod just before these college championships started. Now every team here at the college championships does have at least one coach listed and attending with them. And Cody Mills is a one-man staff. He's been able to build a top 4 seed with the help of his player leadership with no other coaches on his staff.
And Caleb Merriam, one of the players leading that, as he drops off a dime ball for Kenrick Koo. Freshman continues to rack up the stats. A quick score for SLO that makes it 13-8.
A slightly different look there from the SLO offense. Instead of the side stack, they come out in the vertical stack, and Merriam just has to size things up. Kenrick sets up his cut. And a nice, easy finish.
Yeah, Cody Mills has got to be ecstatic about that. The last thing you want is your O-line out there grinding out points when you got a 5-point lead and you got a long day.
2-throw goal is about as good as it gets.
Pretty much. Merriam is obliged to provide that with his ability to throw the disc deep. And our live streaming coverage of the college championships is brought to you in part by Oak Creek Ultimate. Oak Creek Ultimate is offering a team promotion, 25% off on all team orders of 12 pieces or more. Contact them at sales@oakcreekultimate.com before June 6th to take advantage of this limited time promotion. That's sales@oakcreekultimate.com to get 25% off of your next team order. Rolling pull from SLO, probably not exactly as they drew it up. Zhao with the centering throw to Murad and a pick in the stack. And you can see, if you look at this horizontal alignment, which I think was intended to be a vertical stack, how that kind of pick develops. Not exactly the stack discipline we were talking about. Murad throws to space, and Zhao has that bounce off his hands, but recovers in time to save possession. And another pick as Steen tries to curl across the front of the stack. Herky jerk offense for the Seattleites. And now Murad putting one out to Chen, and the speedster, his work not going to be enough as that throw dies a little early. Knocked to the ground by Biancher. But Washington quickly gets it back with a short field. Murad and Zhao, maybe the only Washington players to have gotten the disc on this point until that break throw to Gabe Port. And well read there by Steen. So a quick conversion for Washington. We're going to go to hear from Derek Murad, the Washington handler.
You know, nothing's like nationals in college. All other tournaments are fun, they're intense, but there's something different about college nationals. Maybe it's 2 games in a day. You just get to just go out there and run. As always, we'll bring a lot of voices. Part of the reason we like to bring, or like to select a larger team, is that we have that expanded sideline presence. We got some water-related objects coming in. That should help keep the energy high in this high heat index weather. But you know, like the floaties are, it's not about the floaties. It's about, the floaties are like a thing that helps bring out the energy in us. It's not the floaties that create the energy. So it's about like finding that energy within us and then channeling it through, in this case, a water-related object.
So you hear Murad talking about the water-related objects, the WROs. Washington's got them. As we see on the sideline, it's something that I think they became kind of known for during last year's run in nationals. And teams are always looking for ways to keep the energy high to avoid those lulls, and a amusing one chosen by Washington.
We saw glimpses of that energy throughout the game, but we haven't seen consistent energy from the Sun Dodgers, especially here in the second half.
See if their defense can provide a little bit of energy, a little bit of late resistance, as the SLO O-line has been efficient in this second half. Whited. Nice pass across for Schofield, and then Whited a little flip though He likes to kind of drag that back foot, a little bit of like a hockey-style toe drag, and wait to see where he can make the throw while he's on the move. And that time a little too unpredictable even for his own teammates.
Yeah, it looked like his body language and the momentum carrying him further to the cone threw his receiver off, and that throw just going the opposite direction.
But that attempted inside break quickly turns into a slow hold. Pettyjohn on the receiving end. And that'll make it 14-9. SLO just one goal away. We'll take a quick break for this word from our sponsors. (14-9). SLO with a solid lead over this Washington team. A impressive performance for this SLO team. Washington, no easy out. What's your impression, Ian, of this SLO team's ability to contend for a title?
I see them in the semifinals. Once you get there, it's a lot harder to predict. I mean, the way the brackets are shaping up, you'd expect them to see dark side in semis, 1v4, and that's going to be as tough a challenge as they've faced all season long. I think I'd be a fool to confidently say that, oh yeah, SLO's going to dispatch dark side and make their way to the final, but the resolve that this team has shown so far in pool play, mounting that comeback against Mama Bird late yesterday, and also just dispatching Washington with composure here, I've got confidence that the Final Four is easily within their sights.
Right now they look the part. And if you can make semifinals, it's kind of a why not proposition, as Chen cannot keep his hands on that one. At that point, it's just got to play a couple of good games, but make it sound simple. It's easy to do in the booth. And the SLO D-line offense, since they've opened the rotation, has left something to be desired. Eckert stepping around to deliver a forehand to Port. And now Chen gets into the end zone. Double digits now for Washington, 14-10, they trail.
Well, a quick look around the rest of the division.
And into the end zone for Chen. He gets to the end zone, fourth part of the goals that he has been a part of. We're going to take a brief break for a word from our sponsors.
We come in all different shapes and sizes, but our uniforms don't. Equipped with multiple jersey cuts, lengths, and sizes, Full Circle is the perfect fit for your whole team. Look better, feel better, play better. Full Circle.
We see the Washington defense back out there. Maybe somewhere in there still hopes of a comeback, but they'll need it now as game point for the Washington, or for the SLO offense, pardon me. They have been very effective. Pull going up from Washington. Brown gets it over to Merriam with a vertical stack in front of him. Pettyjohn all but uncovered for that under. Schofield looking deep for Brown. A lovely shot from Schofield to finish this one off. Cal Poly-SLO with a confident win over Washington, 15-10.
The SLO offense just finishing this game as smoothly as they completed it throughout the course of the game. Great discipline and spacing from this offense. They frequently switched back and forth between a more traditional center vertical stack and a more pressure-inducing side stack. Lots of composure, lots of space, and this team looks like a true semifinal and potentially national championship contender.
10 goals with 5 turns for the SLO offense as they were able to weather the storm for Washington. Tried to get the momentum going in the back end of that first half, but SLO with the discipline and execution to put away the Sun Dodgers, and that puts them in the driver's seat for Pool D. For Ian Toner, I'm Keith Rader. Thank you for joining us. We'll be back in the next round for Ohio State and Northeastern. So join us for that one. A women's division matchup should be a good one.